Today in this video, I'm going to be starting my forever world in hardcore Minecraft. But not only that, in Amplified. So without further ado, let's get straight into the video. Day 1. And we just spawned into a freshly created Amplified world. And this terrain is just absolutely beautiful. Let's just say I was actually quite pleased with this spawn because we had some wolves right at spawn, and not just that, a village right next to us, which would come in very handy for the future. But before we did get started, I did want to admire this terrain because it was actually insane. Amplified is just so cool to play. Because if some of you guys remember me, one of my first viral videos was on Amplified. But this is a new world and it's time to get started. Alright, let's go ahead, get the basics. We need to get some wood and then we're going to go explore that village over there. So, of course, after grabbing a little bit of wood that we were going to need, I headed over to the village, which was a little swim across the lake. Alright, that should be enough, and I want to go check this village real quick before we do anything else. There's been quite a few changes to the game since the last time I played, which was probably about 6 or 7 months ago. But after I made it to the village, I am not going to lie, this is probably the worst chest I've ever seen. Wow, what a box. That is actually insane chest. Oh, that is terrible. After looting that absolutely awful chest, I actually got into my first fight. And it was just a zombie that was hiding behind this house. This is my first fight in like 7 months. Leave me alone. Yeah, you just can't catch this, can you? Look at me. I'm just too fast. Don't embarrass you. Okay. My bad. But, of course, if we actually wanted to get going, I was going to need some tools. So I started off by crafting my first pickaxe of this video. And we were also going to need some cobblestone in order to make some better tools. After crafting some better tools, I did have an idea. I wanted to kill the iron golem for some iron, but I could not find him. Alright, where was that iron golem? I'm going to try to kill it. It has been a long time. I did just hear you, didn't I? Was that the cow I heard? So hopefully I don't kill myself. I'm actually not sure where this iron golem's gone. I don't know if they drown. I have no idea. I know they die from fire, but drowning? No idea. Because I couldn't find the iron golem, I decided to collect some food. Honestly, it's probably a good thing that the iron golem has despawned or drowned because I probably would end up killing myself anyway. Okay, we need to keep in mind that we do have a village right here because we will end up needing these villagers because I want to get like a trading hall going as soon as possible just so we can get some really good enchants. Because I do not want to die. Because Amplified is beautiful and all, but one bad step and you fall to your death. After collecting a decent amount of hay bales, I decided to head out and try to find a place I'd call home. Do you know what? I think this is what we're going to call base camp. Kind of like it over here. It's close to the water as well, so we can go travel away. We still got like some huge mountains, which are kind of loaded with iron actually. And let's just say I wasn't the only one that wanted to live here apparently. And I'm not going to lie, I forgot how much damage they do to you when you don't have any armor. Ow. Bro, it does so much damage. Alright, let me go craft some food because we have nothing right now. After that little scuffle though, it did make me realise one thing. I needed some armour ASAP. So imagine what, I went out and collected a bunch of iron. I was actually kind of surprised how much iron was on the surface. It was a little bit more difficult to get to though because of the amplified terrain, but in the end we got everything we needed and smelted it up. Which meant we actually got around 50 iron ingots, so I could craft some armour and even some tools if I wanted to. Finally, a little bit of armour. But it wouldn't be only iron that we need to survive. We needed food because we would eventually run out. So, of course, I decided to craft myself a little farm. Planted some potatoes, but then I realised we were going to need some leather in the future. Because if we wanted to get an enchanting setup going, we were going to need a bunch of books. But, of course, I got distracted and I wanted to go for a little adventure to see what was around us. I was kind of looking for some sunken ships and it didn't actually take long until we found one. Because this ocean was massive and luckily inside it did have the buried treasure map. But not only that, it did actually have a few emeralds which would come in really handy for some trading later on. And shortly after, I went to find the buried treasure, which wasn't too hard to find because there's a little trick that you can use. All you have to do is line yourself up on the X on the map. And then where it says section relative, you have to make sure it says 09, then whatever number you want in the middle, and 09 again. And if you dig straight down, you'll eventually find a chest. Woo, that's a lot of stuff. A diamond? We actually got our first diamond, nice. But what I was actually looking for was a desert temple in order to find a saddle. Ooh, is this one? Oh, finally. Okay, I don't think this is the move to get saddles though, because I've been searching forever. It had actually been a couple of days that I was searching for a desert temple, so I was not going to do it this way again. Okay, iron. But we did actually get some decent loot out of it, as you can see. We got so lucky even that we got some more diamonds, and I think I'm not the only one that loves diamonds in this game. We didn't get the saddle though, which is kind of annoying. Alright, well, I think this is not going to be a very viable way to get saddles, so I think we're just going to head straight back home. After making it back home, I went straight to mining, because we were going to need loads of diamonds in order to make some armor. And I'm not going to lie, mining with water breathing potions and some doors is actually really efficient. I actually made it out with quite a lot of diamonds. Alright, we actually came out of there with 34 diamonds. Well, actually 37 because we did make an axe down there as well. So I think what we can do is go ahead and just try to get some good armor going. Not only did I craft a full set of diamond armor, I could also craft a few tools to go with it. And let's just say I felt like I was unbeatable at this point. All I would need next is actually to enchant all of this, and then I would be actually unbeatable. Boom, there we go. Fantastic. There we go, look at us. We're actually moving up in the world now. Pretty decent armor. All we need to do is enchant it now and we should be good. After feeling quite safe and happy with where we're at right now, I decided it was time to build a new house. Because we weren't going to live outside forever, of course. After absolutely not finishing my house, I got distracted and I wanted to start on building a villager breeder. So, of course, I went to the village where we actually stole everything from the start and now I was going to kidnap some villagers. But before I can imprison this villager, actually give him a new luxurious home, I needed to do a little bit of renovations because right now it was just a hole in the dirt. So, of course, I decided to decorate with 3 beds that he could actually not even obtain. But he did get a nice little roller coaster ride into his new home. But there's got to be a easier way to do this. If there is, please let me know in the comment section below because I was actually struggling with this guy for so long to try to get him into that minecart. But eventually I did manage to get him in there. Okay, good. Now, let's do this. Get this guy going. And a little bit of coal. Boom. And all we needed to do now is nudge him into the hole and he was finally home safe and sound. But unfortunately though, for his friend, it was not really the same thing. God damn it. Alright, let's go back and get another one. Oh, I did not think that would kill him. But it's okay, because this guy had a twin brother. So this guy actually decided to willingly come here all on his own and live inside of this beautiful cave. Okay, let's test this out now. We do need a few crops though, so hopefully the potatoes are grown. Seems like they have. Most of them actually, perfect. Alright, and drop these guys some potatoes. After making them believe that there was a food god that would drop food from the sky, they actually finally bred, and it did work perfectly fine for the beginning. That should be working now, so, well, it did actually spawn 1 villager, but hopefully it spawns more. That's what I need to keep an eye out for. After that, I decided to do a little bit of decorating again. Hopefully this time I will not get distracted. Oh wait, I wanted to go to the nether shortly after starting some decoration work. So I headed over to the spawn where we saw that abandoned portal and chopped it all down. It gave me just enough to make a portal and 1 spare, but it would not be enough for me to make an enchanting table later on. So I built my portal, lit it up and decided to head through the portal. And not gonna lie, it was a very decent spawn, because right off the spawn you could actually see there was a bastion, which would come in very handy later on in order for us to get some netherite armor. But that would be for a later time, because right now I was trying to find a fortress, and it actually didn't take me too long, because after building a bridge across to the opposite side, I did see a fortress, but I did have to fight off this ghast. And let's just say I might have done something a little bit bad. Yep, I accidentally shot a ghast fireball at a zombie pigman. But luckily for me, the only ones that were angry were the ones down below. The ones on top were not too angry at me. Because, let's be honest, if those guys were angry, this world would have probably been over. So I did get a little bit scared and headed straight back home. But that's okay, because I actually got started on our villager trading hall. Dug out a few little spots and made sure that it was still working, and it did, because there was these two little guys dancing underneath. So after making them a little lazy river with a nice little water elevator, I decided to follow them up to make sure that it worked. And of course, shortly after, I started trading, trying to get myself a librarian to get some decent trades going. Because I was going to need fortune 3 in order for us to get loads of diamonds and even more resources later on. Because diamonds, we were going to need loads of them in order to make netherite armor. Because if you didn't know, for the netherite upgrades, you actually need loads of diamonds. And let's just say it took me forever to get my first good enchanted book. Because if you're wondering, this is sped up. I am not actually that fast, and it is sped up to 1000%. So that's how long it actually took me to get my first enchanted book. And it wasn't even on that same villager. Because I got fed up and tried to trade with that guy that I swapped to the second villager. And look what was the first trade he gave me. Fortune 3. But I was going to need some paper, and unfortunately I did hit the villager, so he kind of gave us a bad trade after that. So I decided to give him the day off. And because it was so hard to get some good trades going, I decided to take a little break and do a little bit more building, because I wanted a place to put my enchanting table. After doing a little bit of building though, guess who got distracted again? Yes, me. But it's because I actually gained the courage to go to the nether. Because I wanted to find the nether fortress and actually go and explore it a little bit. Try to see if they had some good blaze spawners and also some chests. But before that, I did do a little bit of trading though, just to see if I can get some obsidian and even some ender pearls. But unfortunately, with my luck, I did not get either of those. So, of course, to get a little bit of revenge, I did actually dispatch this guy. Shortly after though, I did come into one of my first problems, which was these guys were still a little bit mad at me for some reason. I thought they would have had forgotten by now, but no. But luckily, two of these guys actually had some spears and took some out for me. Shortly after though, we did finally make it to the end fortress, and I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit nervous. But after a little bit of digging around this fortress, I did find my first blaze spawner, and it actually had another one right next to it, but I would never actually use that one. Initially though, I did want to kill a few blazes and try to get some blaze rods, but I kind of got scared after they really damaged me. And I'm not gonna lie, because it had been so long since I played Minecraft, I had forgotten how much damage they do. So I just decided to grab a little bit of glowstone instead. But don't worry, eventually I did go back, because there was actually quite a lot of chests inside this end fortress. So we did find some diamonds, but not only that, we did find a saddle. Because if you remember at the beginning of the video, I was actually looking for a saddle, because I wanted to tame a nautilus. But we didn't just get a saddle, we got a bunch more resources as well. There were so many chests inside this end fortress. But the only bad thing is, when you're actually looting and enjoying the game, some bad things can happen and actually put you back in your place. missed. That was close. Okay. That stressed me out a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, so after that, I think I had enough of the Nether and just went straight back home. But I actually done something quite productive for once. I sorted out my chests and made an actual loot room. Yeah, I know. It's actually kind of good for me. So I've gone ahead and actually sorted out my chests for once, because if you know me from the past, I never used to sort out my boxes. So now we actually have some stuff that is somewhat sorted. Not too much, but a little bit. It's enough for me anyway. But after that, I did notice I had 30 levels, so I decided to do a little bit of enchanting, because we did build a whole building just to put an enchanting table inside. Efficiency 4, okay. Let's see what else we can get. Protection, 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 and thorns 2, okay. What about for the sword? Anything good? Sharpness 3. Alright, I think we're just going to go for the pickaxe then. And it's just efficiency, that kind of sucks, I'm not gonna lie. Sharpness 4 though, that's good. Oof. Fire protection, nah. Respiration. Protection 4, okay. Blast protection 4, alright, well I think we've got some decent upgrades for the next one. So we're obviously going to do the sword or the armor. Probably the armor actually, because I feel like getting protection 4 is kind of annoying to do. I did go and mine a few little blocks of quartz though, just to get another level 30 enchant going. And the only main enchant we would need on the sword now is looting 3. No matter what, we would need some extra levels, so that's why I decided to make an armadillo XP farm. But before that, I did get a little bit distracted and I saw some vines in the distance which I wanted to grab for later on. But not only that, there was this buried treasure that I wanted to grab as well, and using my little nifty trick here, I got it quite easily. But unfortunately, it did not have any diamonds inside, but it did have a little bit of iron and some gold ingots as well. And after exploring for a full day, I did come across this abandoned mineshaft. And let's just say I was a little bit nervous because there was a poisonous spider spawner inside, but this would actually come in very handy later on. Wait. There is one right there. Okay, we need 2 though. There is 2 right here. Perfect. Alright, okay, I've forgotten how to do that. After capturing these cute little guys though, we did head straight back home. So we did cross the ocean and it didn't take too long to get back. Okay, the only thing is I have not made an enclosure for these guys just yet, so we need to do that. But I do have a pufferfish, so I kind of want to try to tame a nautilus. I'm not sure if you can do it with just one, but we're going to go give it a go. So, of course, I grabbed my pufferfish and went straight to trying to tame this guy. I did not realise it was going to be this easy, to be honest. I thought it would take a couple more to do. But after equipping him with a saddle, I decided to take him for a little joyride. And I'm not going to lie, these things are actually really, really cool. You can dash with them, go a little bit faster, but it is a little bit awkward to get the hang of. Okay, these things are actually kind of cool. Like, they go quite fast. And you got, like, water breathing the whole time. So now we actually got, like, an animal where you can go, like, defeat the, you could go defeat the Guardian with this guy. Afterwards, though, I did decide to actually get started on building the XP farm, which, I'm not going to lie, it is a very simple XP farm, but it works so well. As long as you have all the resources that you need, it's very easy to make. Well, that's pretty much it. This is the actual farm itself. All you need to do is put, like, 20 armadillos on here. Get a splash potion of infested and a zombie in here, and it should spawn loads of silverfish. We do need a actual, what's it called here? An armor stand, that's what we need. So I'll go craft that real quick. And I need to go get loads of spider eyes so we can start breeding these guys. I think what we are going to do though is try to get a looting free book, because if we can get that, that'd be fantastic. So yeah, that's exactly what I did. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, this took over an hour to try to get. And this video is actually sped up by 2,500% right now. And it even took so long that I completely gave up for a second and tried to just enchant a sword and see if I can get looting free that way. But unfortunately I couldn't. So what I did instead was decide to just combine 2 looting 2 books, because that was the best I could get to get looting free. There we go, finally. Alright, we have looting free on this sword now, so we can actually try to get some spider eyes. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I would be lying if I would say that I was not nervous right now, but I kind of really am. I hate cave spiders. I feel like I should have chosen something a little bit easier, maybe even. So yeah, eventually I did get enough spider eyes to leave. As you can see, I had almost a stack. And I'm not gonna lie, I did get a little bit worried at this point because, yeah, 3 of them rushing me at the same time is kind of spooky. But luckily, we got all the spider eyes that we needed in the end, over a whole stack. So I decided to head back home because I did not want to waste any more time inside of this spider spawner, because if they attack me all at once, I could die very easily. So once I got back home, I decided to breed the armadillos, and yep, that was pretty much it for the day. We got 4 for now, but we need, I think, like 24, so it's going to take a little bit of time to actually get these guys, but as soon as we start multiplying them, it should be quite quick. It shouldn't go too long. It shouldn't take too long anyway. But whilst waiting for those to breed up, I decided to do a little bit of decorating and also a little bit of singing. I wanna make you feel like you're the only girl in the world. So I guess when I publish this video, I'm going to be waiting on a call from X Factor, because that was some pretty good singing if you ask me. But anyway, let's get back to building. Okay, this is looking a lot nicer actually. I'm very pleased with this. Anyway, after all that building, it was time to finally test out the XP farm. But not before we come into a little problem first, because I was not expecting this at all, so I was trying to move the armadillos in the XP farm. Well, that's not good. 6, 7... So after fixing up the XP farm and putting all the armadillos that I needed inside, it was time to test it out. And let's just say it worked really, really well. Okay, it's working. Okay, this works a lot better than I thought it would. Like, I've literally got, I don't know how much XP because there's still some in there. 42 levels. I think I was like 20 something. Alright, well, I guess we can go do some enchanting now. 42 levels. And that was only 1 potion. If I use all 3 of these potions, I'll probably get to like level 60. Ooh, good one, good one. After enchanting most of my items, I decided to get a little bit extra XP just to get the rest enchanted as well. we are finally fully enchanted up. It took a bit of time, but we are good now. Once everything was enchanted, I did notice one thing that was missing, and that was having a friend inside of this world. I really want a dog. So I headed straight out with my bones to try and find a dog, but if I remember correctly, at the spawn there was a couple of puppies with me. So that's where I headed to next, try to find them and hopefully bring them back with me. Hey, come on buddy, let's go. Let's go. I'm going back home. We can make you some armor now. And once home with my new best friend named Ben, it was time to do him a little favour and craft him some armour, so he'd be a little bit more protected. And because I finally had looting free on my sword now, it was time to head to the nether to get all the blaze rods that we would need for potions and also Eyes of Ender. And I'm not gonna lie, it was a little bit spooky. That is a lot of wither skeletons. I had not seen this many wither skeletons in so long. That's actually kind of spooky, I'm not gonna lie. I'm worried about that now. Alright, let's get a bunch of blaze rods because we're gonna need those in the future because I want to defeat the ender dragon in this video as well. So let's try to get all that going. So of course I spent a couple of minutes just to get enough blaze rods in order to craft everything that I needed. And I'm not gonna lie, it did not take long at all because with looting free you get blaze rods so quickly. And luckily for me, I had some really decent armor as well, so these blades were not really doing a lot of damage. Alright, 36 should do the trick. After getting all of the blaze rods that we needed, I also wanted to get some slime blocks. I don't know what these are actually called. I think they're just magma slimes or something. But anyway, I wanted to get enough for me to be able to make some fire resistance potions. Because later on, I was going to use this little trick to go hunt for some ancient debris. But before we did go ahead and do that, I wanted to also get all of my stuff properly enchanted, like the best armor I could possibly get. So in order to do that, we needed to get a couple of resources, a bunch of paper and a bunch of wood for sticks in order to trade with the villagers. And luckily, after a little while, I say a little while, it was probably more like an hour, I actually got a decent amount of books that we would actually use in the future. Alright, so we've got some decent enchants now all around here, so blast protection, got a mending book. Got Thorns free, falling as well, and an unbreaking one. Okay, so bam. Falling 4. That's good. With a little blast protection. So blast protection, feather falling, depth strider, and breaking. Then we could actually even add a little thorns onto there. So that's like pretty much the best I can do, I'm pretty sure, with the boots. Actually, I'll probably do the pickaxe first because it's the thing I use the most. Alright, we just need to get another blast protection, then we should be good. Unfortunately though, the next 2 minutes of the video do not have any game sound. I don't know what happened, but all of my stuff got corrupted. But anyway, all I did was head to the nether with some fire resistance potions and jumped into the lava lakes just to see if we can actually spot some ancient debris just living on the surface. But not before checking on Google to see if there was a faster way to swim in lava, and I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit disappointed with what I found. But anyway, even if I was swimming extremely slowly, it was actually quite a decent way to find ancient debris, because you just simply see it from miles away and then you just go and swim over to it and mine it. But if you didn't want to swim, what you could also do is just dig a hole and then dig a tunnel in the direction of where it is and then just randomly pop out and pick it up. And after all of that, I think I ended up with around 16 pieces of ancient debris, which is actually really good because that meant I can actually upgrade all of my armor. Not only that, I did also go and explore the bastion because we were going to need the armor upgrades in order to upgrade our armor to Netherite. And I'm not going to lie, it was kind of spooky because I had this hoglin attack me at some point, but I thought it was going to do a lot of damage. And then I was like, oh, hang on, didn't even do any damage, so I just went and attacked him quite easily. But I'm not going to lie, these guys were something else. I'm pretty sure I could die to just like 2 hits or maybe 3 hits if I'm a little bit lucky. But it did make me a little bit nervous to explore this place, so I had to be extremely careful. So that's what I did. I just ended up blocking them off pretty much, apart from this guy, but he was quite easy to take out. But the higher I went, the more there were, so I had to be extra careful. So I kind of made them into like a little XP farm by just hitting their feet. After finally clearing them all out, I made it to the chests, and I'm not gonna lie, the loot was kinda terrible. There was nothing really good in there, just a bit of gold and some random objects. But luckily, I remembered the layouts of these bastions, and all I had to do was mine to the opposite side to get the other chest. And inside of this chest though, there was something a little bit better. I do keep calling that an armor upgrade, even though it's a smithing template, but I'm just gonna stick with that. And after that, I decided to head back home. Now, I'm only joking. I did also go and end up looting the main room itself. And I'm not gonna lie, I almost regret doing that because it was kinda hectic with everything around. And I'm not gonna lie, after seeing all of these brutes and piglins, or whatever the hell you want to call them, I did get kinda nervous at this point because they had bow and arrows, and these guys with the axes, they do so much damage. And after defeating the two brutes that were defending all of that gold, I decided to mine it all very quickly because I wanted to get out there as fast as possible. So yeah, after looting all of that, you know exactly what I done. I completely vanished from the nether. I tried to get out of there as fast as possible because we did not need to be in here anymore. But in order to use those armor upgrades, I was going to need loads of diamonds, and I mean loads, like over a stack of diamonds in order to upgrade everything. So I decided to grab my Nautilus friend here and try to go mining with him, and I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty terrible, because every time I tried to swim down, I would just hit the ceiling and take damage. So yeah, it wasn't really the greatest idea to use this guy. I bet he's very useful for other things, but mining, not really. So in the end, I just took my boat and just explored a little bit just to try to find some pufferfish. And with those pufferfish, you knew what was going to happen. I was going to craft some water-breathing potions. And luckily for me, there was 3 pufferfish right next to our house. So that meant I headed straight to the mines and tried to get loads of diamonds. And I'm not going to lie, when I say loads, I actually got loads of diamonds. So cue the montage. And of course, with all of those diamonds, I finally managed to make the upgrades that I needed in order to fully netherite my armor up. And I think at that point it was safe to say we reached endpoint. But not before we actually started on another build, because I was feeling very, very happy with myself, so it was time to add another little build to the world. So If you couldn't guess what I was building a windmill in order to take care of all of the crops that are right next to it. After building though, it was time to go and hunt because we needed ender pearls, and not only that, we needed also some phantom membranes in order to make some slow falling potions. So I headed to the nearest desert that there was and hunted loads, and I mean loads, of endermen. And I'm not gonna lie, it actually took quite a lot of damage. These guys are still strong even though I have netherite armor. So after spending over probably about 3 full night cycles, I think, without sleeping, I ended up getting enough ender pearls in order to make loads of eyes of ender. But that wasn't the biggest problem. The problem was no phantoms actually spawned in this time frame. So even though I was hunting loads, and I mean loads, of endermen, no phantoms wanted to spawn. After getting all of the ender pearls that we would need, I did also decide to breed a couple of sheep though, because we were going to need their wool in order to finish the windmill that we started on. I did also test out my bow, and it was actually very strong, but it would need a little upgrade later on. So that's exactly what I did. I upgraded it to power 5, and not only that, I added an infinity book that I got earlier on. And after those upgrades, it was finally nighttime again, but this time the phantoms actually spawned, which meant I could get those membranes and make the slow falling potions that we would need in order to take over the end. So as you could all guess, I quickly crafted up everything that I needed for the end dragon fight, and it was time to head out. But you guys already seen all of this part, so I'm just going to quickly skip through it. I throw my Eye of Ender, look for where it goes, go pick it up if it doesn't break, and then we find the end portal. And luckily for me, it was actually very close to our base. So after mining down a little bit, I did come across the library, and shortly after the end portal itself. And it was time to finally head into the end and go and defeat the end dragon. And I'm not going to lie, this was probably the furthest away my end platform has ever spawned. It was actually really far away. So of course, once I made it to the mainland, it was time to get rid of all the towers. And once the towers were all down, it was finally time to fight the Ender Dragon. And after a very close call, because my slow falling potion was just about to end after I got lunged into the air, I managed to quickly drink another and continue to fight. And once it perched one last time, it was time to end this fight. And after collecting all of the XP and admiring the beautiful sky I had never seen before, I think it was with my shader pack that we had this beautiful sky, I decided it was time to finally end it. No, I'm joking. We actually went and tried to go find an elytra as well. So after ender pearling through the portal, I finally spawned in. And not gonna lie, I did actually see an end city straight away. But I'm not gonna lie, it was not the one I was looking for. It did not have a ship. So before we headed out to explore a little bit more, I decided it was time to change the shader pack because I wanted something to make the end look a little bit better than it already was. And that's when I found this. What a beautiful end. I'm not gonna lie, I am very, very happy with the way this looks. It looks so cool. But anyway, back to the main objective. I went out and looked for an end city and I came across another one. It was quite far, but this one actually finally had a ship. So of course there was only one more thing to do, and that was to head straight into there and collect what was rightfully ours. And there it was, the elytra, the one thing we really needed for this amplified world. And not only that, it actually had a very decent pickaxe. And of course, after looting all the chests that were inside of this ship, it was finally time for us to head home. But not before collecting the dragon's head that was on the front of the ship. And guys, if you have any ideas or what you would like to see in this world, please let me know in the comment section below, because I do read every single comment. But anyway, after defeating the game, it was time for us to head home. But not before taking a nice little selfie with that background. It looks so cool. And also, we had to test out the elytra. And that, guys, unfortunately is the end of the video. So if you guys did end up enjoying, please leave a comment, like and subscribe. And I'll be seeing you in the next video. Peace.